Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I thought it would be fun to talk about what makes a book a 5 out of 5 star rating. So, what makes a book the best of the best in your opinion, or your favorite? Because obviously, if you rated it perfectly, then it's something that you really, truly enjoyed. And it's a very personal thing, a rating system, on how much you like a book or how much you don't like a book. So I just thought it'd be cool to talk about what elements make up the reason that you like something so much. What makes you give it that 5-star rating? I would truly love to know what makes it so that way you give a 5-star rating for a book. And I'd like to share you with what I look for as a 5-star rating, since I do know a couple of different people that have totally different views on what makes a story so good and so incredible that you would then rate it at a perfect 5-star rating. If you end up liking this video, go ahead and give me a like. I would really appreciate it. And go ahead and subscribe, because we would love to have you as part of the Fantasy Fiction Fanatic community if you are not already. So subscribe, give it a like. It's okay if you don't do it right now, but maybe by the end of the video you'll feel like doing that, and that would be really amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I have 3 things that I really look for that make a story 5 stars. That really has to hit each of these things in order for me to even be considering giving it a 5-star rating. The first thing is probably the most important thing for me, and that is writing style. How an author writes, how they present the words, how it flows, how much it sucks you in and makes you want to read more. That's really super important for me. If you have a horrible writing style, it's not going to work out for me giving it a 5-star. Maybe a 4-star, but usually books that have bad writing styles end up in the even if I liked the story and stuff like that or read it all, usually end up in the 3-star category. My favorite kind of writing styles are the very clear and easy to read writing styles that, just really glide through and really are just super easy to read and be immersed with. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be super flowy or anything like that. Simple and easy is perfect for me. As well as those clear, like you can clearly picture things, but it has that bit of sophisticatedness to it. It's got that little bit it's not just easy to read. It has the way that the words flow, and it has a unique set of words to portray something. I know it's kind of vague in how I'm describing this. Simple and easy, the best thing I can think of that has that kind of writing style that I know off the top of my head is Patricia Briggs' Mercy Thompson series or her Alpha Omega series. Those both have that same very clear, very easy, just so simple to read kind of writing style. The sophisticated kind of writing style that I really like is like Jim Butcher. His earlier books are not quite as sophisticated in writing style, but as you keep going through with his books, they get so good. Also like H.M. Long's writing style, Joshua Philip Johnson's writing style. I would say Margaret Rice and Tracy Hickman kind of has a little bit of sophisticatedness to them as well. It's very clear, descriptive, but has that little bit of just extra sophisticatedness to it. So if any of those examples help, hopefully they do. If they don't, let me know, and I'll try and think of some more examples that maybe you might have read. But those are the 2 kinds of writing styles that really are my favorites and really get me absorbed in a story. Again, books with weaker writing styles, they're so hard for me. And I don't think I was always that way. I think I had a little bit more leniency on that kind of stuff, but as I've gotten older and as I've read more books, the writing style really, truly matters to me. It means a lot. My second thing that is really important is characters. Especially the main character. The main character has to be a character that I like. If I don't like the main character, it is so hard for me to care about the story and to enjoy it and to make me want to read more. It's not impossible, obviously, but it's much harder for me if I'm not really invested in the main character. And it's really nice when I'm invested in all of the characters. Usually there are characters that surround that main character that are very prominent, and those characters also should be ones that I really like and enjoy. Maybe not all of them, but a majority of them for it to be a 5-star rating. If you want to know what kind of characters are my favorite kind of characters, the ones that really get me going and make me want to read more and enjoy that character, go ahead and check out my video on my favorite the types of characters that I rave about. I'll go ahead and link it for you so that way you can go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But characters are a really huge thing. All of my 5-star ratings all have characters that I just rave about, that I truly just love and think are amazing. So that is another one that's really, really big for me to enjoy a book and really think that it's spectacular. And the third thing is world and fantasy elements. So how in depth is this world developed? How realistic does it feel? What kind of fantasy elements are there involved in this world? How does the fantasy system and the magic system work? Those are things that are all really important for me to enjoy it, especially because that's the main part of fantasy, is the fantasy elements of it. A lot of times, fantasy stories that I really like the world of, or the fantasy elements and the magic and stuff like that, it usually makes me say at least once throughout the story, man, that is cool, or like, wow, like that's so epic. Definitely have to feel like, wow, that is super interesting and super cool. And then I know that either the world or the fantasy elements or whatever it is that I'm saying that's cool too is usually going to bring that up, that extra notch, to be something really that I really enjoy and really love. A lot of times the worlds that I give 5 stars to feel very rich, developed, and just kind of real in a sense. Like you could believe that this is a real place, and it's so described and so immersive that you want to be in that world. So definitely an important element for me as a fantasy reader to have to make it to be 5 stars. Now, as a side note, this is not something that's like part of my main 3 items, obviously. But as a side note, you might be questioning, like, doesn't it have to have a good plot to be a 5 star? I mean, if you don't like what's happening in the book, how can it be a 5 star? And I will say that that is an element in there as well, is like what actually happens in the story is important. I mean, if it's just a dumb story with a dumb plot, it's probably gonna not be a 5 star. But that doesn't make it impossible for me to enjoy it and to think it's a 5 star. It really has to have those 3 elements, and I can bypass a dumb plot if I think enough of everything else is cool and immersive and that I like it. There's actually a couple of stories that I have enjoyed despite the writing style because they were such good plots, but I've also had plenty of stories that have such good writing style, such good characters, and the world is really interesting, but the plot's kind of weak, and it's like, you know, there's those a little bit of plot flaws in them, and I still can get behind those stories and really enjoy them. So I wouldn't say that that's an absolute necessary portion, but usually if you have good characters, you've got a good writing style, and you've got a good world and fantasy elements, you've usually thought the book through enough to have a good plot. Or at least the author has thought them through enough to create a really good plot. So as long as we have those 3 elements, I am likely, if not Not obviously for sure every time, but I am likely to give it a 5-star than unlikely. Definitely will be a 4-star if it has all 3 of these elements for sure. All right. What is the, if I can speak now, come on. What is the elements, or what are the elements that get you to say 5 stars to a book? I'd really be interested to hear. I know I've had some people who agree with me on my kind of particular elements that I like for it. I've had somebody tell me that they prefer more complex, really, woven together storylines, and if it doesn't have that, then it can't be a 5-star because it's not sophisticated enough. I've had people who really are more interested in plot than anything else, and if the plot's not there, then the rest of the book is not going to be there for them. And lots of other combinations of everything in between. So I'd love to hear from you about what is the most important things to make it a good story, to make it worth a 5-star rating to you. Do you give out 5 stars often? Because I know I definitely don't. 3s are most common, 4s are more likely, 5s have to be pretty incredible. So let me know. I'd love to hear all about it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.